Hi, everybody. Time to bring it in for another edition of Grilling the Birds. It is brought to you by Inside the Birds, along with Trey Thomas. I'm Derek Gunn and Trey. We thought it would be a much more competitive game considering the state of the Dallas Cowboys, but lo and behold, it was fool's gold because the Eagles came out of the game like a bullet, and all of a sudden it became a dud. And so, plain and simple, it is over for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2020, but the work is just beginning. And by that, I mean the evaluation process from front office to the coaches to the players is already underway. First of all, before we get in depth in specifics, give me your general impression of how this game played itself out.
Well, the team that came out on fire, you had everything that was laid out for you. You knew that if you wanted any chance to get into the playoffs, that you were going to have to get this win. So Carolina and Washington started a little earlier, and you saw that right out the gate, Carolina jumping on Washington. So that should have given you a little boost going into this game. But, you start off, you have a nice drive down the field. Bam, there you go, touchdown. Then you come out, your defense gets a stop. Then you come back, you bring DeSean Jackson into it. Boom, another touchdown, another big touchdown. Oh, man, we about to really run through this. But then the wheels fell off the bus. The energy level kind of just tanked. And then here you are looking at the end of the game where it's just like Dallas turned it on. And then here you are walking out of this with your lip on the ground because you had a chance to pull this win off. But because, in BG's word, Dallas wanted it more. So here you are on the outside looking in.
All right, Jalen Hurts, 21 of 39, 342 yards, one touchdown, but more importantly, two interceptions, two horrible interceptions, plus 3 sacks. In that first half, the Eagles had almost 285 yards of offense, and all of a sudden the offense went to nil in the second half. Plain and simple, the Cowboys made the adjustments. The Eagles cannot counter back. And when it's all said and done, I'm listening to Doug Peterson making excuses for Jalen Hurts or trying to cover up for Jalen Hurts.
You know what? And that's the thing. And this has been the problem of this team the entire year. When you build a team and you surround it in a moat of excuses, then what you expect to happen with the team? Guys aren't going to show up to play. Guys are going to come out there and mope around because they know that you're making an excuse for it. And the problem that I had with Doug with this is that he came out and the first thing he wanted to do, hey, well, you know what? Yeah, Jalen could have probably played a little better, but, he had a lower body injury and he was sore and beat up. But then when Jalen Hurts was asked about it, Jalen was like, look, I don't even want to use that. I'm not going to even tell you what's wrong with me because I don't want that to be an excuse for my poor play. So when you have a player that's like saying, look, I don't want to look for an excuse, but you have the coach looking for excuses for you, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And you keep seeing it all throughout the season. Even when you just saw BG just put out a tweet, it was on came out today, where BG was saying, you know what, we were an undisciplined team. It shows itself all throughout this team, and Doug keeps making excuses for these guys and not holding them accountable.
Okay, I'm not going to sit here and make you excuse, and I believe what BJ is saying, but let's look at the bigger picture. The back end of your defense is a bunch of walk-ons who probably wouldn't be more than special teams players. Your offensive line has been decimated. Your linebacking situation is like a carousel. You got guys playing who would be lucky just to make a 53-man roster in a lot of cases. And I think that affects a lot of what they weren't capable of doing.
Yeah, but okay, if you know that you got some secondary help out there, some secondary guys out there that are young, that's not inexperienced, how about give them some help? Give them some over-the-top help.
But help from where? If your safeties are inexperienced and your corners inexperienced, and their heads are out there swimming. And again, I am not sitting here making excuses for him, but Jim Schwartz doesn't have an extended body of work working with a lot of these guys. I mean, where's the help going to come from?
I don't know. That's what you got to go out there and figure it out. That's what you get paid the big bucks to do. And you're not the only team that's dealing with it.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? You're not the only team that's dealing with it. Make adjustments. Maybe instead of playing man, you run a little bit more zone. I don't know. Do something to kind of help them out. Now, when you talk about the offensive line, when I look at this offensive line, and I know that you've had a lot of injuries, and you got guys that are coming in there and they're switching in and out. I don't see guys just getting overmatched. That's getting just bulled over and just like they absolutely don't belong in the NFL. Now, yeah, you might have some stuff that you get beat on that's technical that's causing some of these problems, but that's why as a coach you need to fix it. And then when you come out there and you have 6 false starts in the game, and 4 of them are because the center didn't snap the ball, your all-pro center, the one that everybody is debating on if he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, he is the one that caused 4 of your false starts because he didn't snap the ball on time. He had 7 false starts. No, I mean, you know what? He had 4 this week and 2 last week, 2 or 3 last week. I mean, you got 7 false starts because he didn't snap the ball on time. That is a stupid problem to have. You know what I'm saying? Because if he can't hit a quarterback, you can go silent count and put it on him. But he's snapping the ball late. So when you say that they have problems here, my problem with from what I see is that it's a lack of holding cats accountable, and it's a lack of not just saying taking the bull by the horn and fixing some of these issues. It should be a point of emphasis. If you come out of that game last week and knew that there was a problem with hearing this cadence and knowing that that was a problem, then that should have been a point of emphasis going into that game, and it shouldn't have showed itself the way it did in this past week.
Now, Dallas led the league this season in home attendance, averaging over 27,000 per home game for the Cowboys. But still, 27,000 people in a stadium should not be enough to where it affects the overall cadence, should it?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you can't hear, but you saw everybody else getting off on time.
Yeah.
You know, when you go back and you look at it, and I posted it on video, you can see when Jalen, and all quarterbacks had this. They have and I call it a flex or whatever it is. But whenever they finish their cadence, it's like something that they do with their arms to brace themselves to get ready for the ball. And you can see Jalen with Blue 88 say hut, or whatever it is when he says the hut, it's like he's bracing himself to get ready to ball. And what you should see when you watch this, and this is just in normal situations, when you see that flex, you should see offensive linemen moving. If not at the same time, right after it, because that's when the ball should be snapped. Okay, So if you can't hear that, then what you need to do is say, all right, hey, we can't hear it. We're going silent count. Kelce, we're going on your head movement. This is not you've been doing silent count for years. And if you know that you can't hear, go silent count. That's an easy fix. But instead, you come out of there with six or seven false starts, and then they were like, well, you know, Doug at the gate threw Jalen Hurts under the bus and was like, hey, well, you know what? He has to work on his cadence. And what made me look at this was when Jalen did his interview and the way he answered it. Because it sounds like he was kind of like, yeah, you know, it's something that I need to work on. Yeah, but it was just the way he answered it told me that he was trying to cover. And that's what made me go back and watch the film and really take a close look at it. And then that's when I saw that, you know what, Kelce was snapping the ball late.
Okay, this is the second straight week you've talked about it periodically throughout the season about Jason Kelce not snapping the ball on time, bad snaps, so on and so forth. And I'm not going to sit here and start a controversy, but the last 2 seasons, he's talked about how close he's come to retiring, okay? Now, you go through a season like this. When you look to your left, you look to your right. 3 Pro Bowlers are either in and out or they're gone completely. You're playing with a bunch of backup players. And a lot of times, I'm sure when he's made line calls, they've missed certain line calls. Do you think mentally at some point it starts to wear you down to the point where you're not as crisp and as sharp as you should be?
Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe, maybe, you know what, as I watch Kelce this season, and, and I go back to the Rams game, because the Rams game, you can see the old Kelce. I mean, you saw Kelce running downfield, aggressive, popping up off the ground, was just playing with a totally different type of energy. But then when you saw him in this Dallas game, it just looks like as the season went on, he continued to just like that same type of energy wasn't there, and you can say, all right, hey, it's probably because some of your Pro Bowl right guard and right tackle aren't there. That could happen again next year. Who knows? So to me, it just looks like the season is starting to wear down on him a little bit more. That I would not be surprised at all if he said, you know what, that's it, I'm done. Because, I mean, you can only push yourself so hard in this game, and to continually mentally get yourself up for each game is a task. And I know for me, when it was time for me to go, it was more mental than physical. And it was just like, all right, I'm tired of the mental having to get myself up to go out there and go to battle. And it was just trying to shut it down. So for Kelce, when I look at him play, I wouldn't be surprised if this would be it, because you can just see sometimes where, if you're the cadence is the most important part of the play. If you don't get off on the ball, or if you're late, that's it. There's no, I don't care what you call it. That's it. So if you're not, if for whatever reason you're not tuned in to get that off, then, that's about it, But to me, it would be a decision that Kelce would have to make, because it's more of a mental than I think a physical type grind.
Yeah, but when a player starts talking about it publicly, isn't that basically the end of the line? Because, like I said, 2 seasons in a row now, he's talked about this. He's still a young man by young man standards, but he's getting up there in age by football standards. I mean, when when you think about a center takes vicious shots every play, and when you sit back and you look at the bigger scheme of things, and you look at how more younger players are walking away from the game than ever before because of concerns about health issues and CTE and things like this. If I'm Jason Kelce, I'm sitting back and I'm going, look, I've made my money. I've had several great contracts. I've made my Pro Bowls. I've made an All-Pro. I got my Super Bowl ring. I've got that I will be play with down the road. All these things start factoring in terms of how much do I want to continue to be a gladiator.
Yeah. And to me, and center is a brutal, especially at his size, when you're only about 280, 290, and you're out there dealing with 300-pound defensive linemen all the time. I mean, all the time. And, it can wear it on you. And I think right now it's really starting to wear on Kelce. And when you have a season like this, when, you go out there and you battle, and you keep losing, that's tough, but when I go back and I look at these false starts, and I just went back and looked at the Arizona game real quick, just so I could see, all right, with some of these false starts, were they on the guy or Kelce? And it was Kelce twice didn't even snap the ball. But, of course, they're going to call it on the other lineman because they first to move, but Kelce didn't snap the ball, man. I mean, that's not good. That's not good. And then I look at Stoutland, where it's like, look, man, you got to check this. When you look at the coaching, you got as coaching, like, man, you have to hold him accountable, and if he can't do it, then you got to make a decision. But, you can't just sit up there and brush that under the rug, because that's hurting your offense.
Yeah.
And that's just being honest. You can't look at this and say, hey, man, you know what? Hey, you know what? It just happened. Whatever. We're going to keep moving. Now, I'm pretty sure if I went back through the entire season, you probably would see it more. You probably have seen it a little bit more than what everybody is willing to accept. But, that's something that needs to be corrected. And then, if you're going to let that slide, you may as well don't be mad if Matt Pryor is late on the block.
Hey, going back to Jalen Hurts for a moment, he had the 2 interceptions we were talking about, and the first one he threw it in like triple coverage. The second one, there wasn't an Eagles jersey in the area code when he threw that one. Plus, he had a fumble, questionable fumble, I might. But he was 3 turnovers. Do you think he got caught up in the moment? Was he overwhelmed by the moment, the magnitude of the moment? Because the winner of that game stays alive in the playoff picture, especially after Washington lost.
Yeah, I think that, he kind of got back to his rookie roots a little bit, where he wanted to press and make things happen instead of just sitting back against the Saints game, against, the Arizona game. There was, just go out and just go play. There wasn't any high expectation on him. It was just like, look, man, we just want to go see what you could do. go out there and perform. But now you going into the Dallas game, and it's kind of like, hey, we need you to win. You put that pressure on them, like, look, we need you to win for us to go into the playoffs. And, as a rookie, man, that's a lot to put on the young man, especially when you got all this other stuff going on out there on the field. That's a lot. And, you kind of saw a little chink in the armor. You just saw him look like a young player. You could see it in his face a couple of times where, it wasn't as easy as it was before. And Dallas did a really good job of saying, all right, you know what? Defensive ends, I don't want y'all rushing past the quarterback anymore.
Yeah.
Don't rush past the quarterback, because if you do, he's going to take the gap that you just left. So what I want y'all to do is rush upfield to a certain point, get past him. Then now I want you to circle back, because once he tries to scramble, then we just going to funnel him into the inside. And that's exactly what they did, which kind of hampered them a little bit.
Man, I'm looking at comments on social media, and people after that game are talking about, okay, the Hurts experiment is over. Come on. We only have 3 samples of his body of work on the football field. And even though we're going to get another sample in the season finale against Washington on Sunday, 4 games is really not enough to determine what this kid is and what he isn't, man. Now, obviously the coaches know this, but, man, come on. The fan perspective is like, are you kidding me already? You want to give up on the kid? You don't even know what he can do in the long term?
Well, it doesn't matter. I think at this point, I think it's going to be the Jalen Hurts show moving forward anyway. That's it. Once you made this decision to bench Wentz and put Hurts in there, the Jalen Hurts, this is your quarterback of the future, so you may as well go ahead and get ready. For me, this is what I think. Now, if it were, like I said before, and I've said it several times, if I were Carson, I would be like, look, I want out. Let me go ahead and move on to another team. But to me, I think this is the Jalen Hurts show from here on out. I think that he is definitely he has enough that he's shown you that he can carry this team. I think he can do well. But for me, I look at this team and I'm like, man, you're going to have to get a coaching staff. If it's Doug is going to have to – you're going to have to get rid of some of these guys that's in this locker room that you're not holding to the same standard, because it's going to continue to seep down to some of these younger guys. When you go out there and you look at Reagor at times, not even finishing some of his routes with speed, where is that coming from? You know what I'm saying? So, that's why I feel like, that I think that Jalen Hurts can definitely be that guy for this squad. But, man, you're going to have to get some guys in that locker room that can kind of help keep this locker room together.
You were talking about speed, and when you said that, I'm thinking, okay, DeSean Jackson. Finally. We see a DeSean Jackson sighting on the field. First quarter, takes off, boom, 81-yard touchdown. That's the D-Jack we've been waiting to see all season. All of a sudden, it's like he's in a witness protection program. Nobody can find him. You look at the final stats, 20 snaps, 1 target, 1 catch, 1 touchdown. Doug Peterson said after the game, well, he didn't have the burst after that. So you mean to tell me you spent all these weeks rehabbing him. He gets out on the field, shows you this burst, and all of a sudden that's it? Yeah. Was that just an audition for a future employer to let people know that, hey, D-Jack still got it at 33 years old? Is that what that was?
I don't know. And and again, another excuse for why a player isn't performing, and the man just came off IR or whatever he was on for what? He was down for 5 or 6 weeks. And then he was saying that, hey, man, you know what? As the game went on, he just got sore as the game went on. Really? Do say. We play football. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting up there, no sugar honey iced tea, that he got sore. I get it. Are you for real? Saying that, hey, he got sore as the game went on. All right. But you sat him so much that, yeah, he going to get sore. Only 20 reps. He only was targeted one time. You tried to trot him back out there for another, I think it was 3rd and 12 or something like that. But, the defense did a good job of making sure that they kept Hurts in there, and then there you go. To me, it's just, I don't understand it. I just feel like Doug is just a little too player-friendly for these guys, man, and just don't hold them to the fire.
do you think we keep talking about him covering for people, but do you think it's out of frustration just so he doesn't slip and say the wrong thing? I
Say the
mean,
wrong thing. Go ahead.
yeah, he's not going to do that. He's trying to keep a job. You know he's not going to do that.
I know.
It's not good. Come on, man. You out there trying to stir a hornet's nest.
No,
That's not going to happen with Doug, man.
I know. But, man, I just, sometimes you just got to be like, look, man, I need you out there right now. I need you to play. I need you to answer the call for me. I've been covering you for all this time. Now I need you. Same thing. I mean, this is just, but instead of saying, hey, man, you know what? I'd much rather not even say anything than to give him an excuse for not performing. And that's just me being real. Like, I would much rather you not say anything than to give him an excuse for not performing or for not answering the way he should have.
Okay, time to go back inside the trenches with Trey. And you were talking about Jason Kelce messing up the continuity and fluidity a lot of times. But give me your assessment of individual play along this offensive line other than the center.
I think that Jordan Mailata has definitely gotten a lot better. There are a lot of things that he just needs to continue to learn as he's playing. And a lot of people are like, man, I just wish he'll get a little bit more nasty. And that's going to come as he gets more comfortable with his play. But he's getting there. He's using his hands really well. You saw him in the run game getting low a couple times. Now, he learned a very valuable lesson, this week. When he went pulling out there and he had to go and deal with Jalen Smith. Now.
Oh, that was a cheap shot. Cheap.
You call it cheap, I call it football. Now,
that's cheap.
Okay.
You saw the play, man.
What I'm trying to tell you is that what Jordan Mailata needs to do is when he pulls around, he needs to run through the guy, run through the linebacker. But instead, what Jordan got up there and did came up there and started tippy-toeing and was like, hey, I blocked you, mate. And Jalen Smith was like, hell no, and put helmet to his head. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, hey, that was a cheap shot. I've seen it several times. I've seen it a
lot of times. Come on, man. You out there trying to injure somebody doing stuff like that, man.
All of us have felt it. Every offensive lineman has felt it. When you go up there and start tippy-toeing on a linebacker, they coming downhill. And Jordan right then got up there and tried to act like he was in practice and went up there shuffling and like, oh, I got you, mate. You blocked now. Oh, no. Wham. Okay. Lesson learned. What you need to do is either you're the hunter or you being hunted. And what he needs to always be, when you in that open field, when you pulling and you trying to take on a linebacker, you better be the hunter or something like that is going to happen.
Now, from my perspective, what I saw was Mailata pulled up on the play and Jalen Smith looked back at him and eased up on him and bam, thrust his helmet into his face. Come on, man. That's not football. You got people out here trying to early. All players talk about, I'm not out here trying to injure people on purpose. I understand they have families to take care of just like I do. You can't do stuff like that, man. Come on. Seriously. There's one thing to go helmet to helmet or one opponent to get the better of another opponent. But, basically, Mailata had eased up his body, and this man saw that open and took an unnecessary shot.
That was Jordan's fault for easing up. Jordan shouldn't ease up. Don't ease up. You're a puller. You have to come in there and root him out. You can't ease up. What Jordan did, he got out there and was acting like he was still in practice with shells on. And he went out there. You know what I'm saying? He went out there and he started because you saw him start position blocking. And what people don't understand, as that linebacker position right there, his job was to kill the puller. That was his job. Go in there and you crush the puller. Don't even worry about the running back because we cannot let the running back get outside. You have contained. So what he did was his job was to come in there and crush the puller. Now, Jordan made a mistake. He does not pull up there. You got to run through that. You better make sure you get low and run through them because if you don't, you get up there and you start tiptoeing through the tulips, You know what I'm saying? You want to sneak up on him? Like, all right, that right there will happen more than not. So, all right. So, I'm just saying, now moving on to Isaac. I thought that Isaac, he had a solid game. He had, a couple things here and there. That he had a false start as well that had nothing to do with the center, where he kind of rocked out of his stance, but I thought all in all he was okay. I thought Nate Herbig was okay. Matt Pryor had his moments out there as well. It's just tough, man. Because it's frustrating because he got called for 2 of the false starts.
Right.
So a lot of people they like, oh man, Matt Pryor. Well, he was actually on the cadence. It was because the ball wasn't snapped. So
I'm Jason Kelce's neck, man.
But I'm just saying, but no, everybody would come on, man. But everybody on Matt Pryor neck. Everybody on Matt Pryor neck. But that's my thing. That's the problem. Everybody wants to like, oh well, him. But when you see that it's the other guy, but still him. That's just what it is, and it's quite amazing. Like even when I show,
Jason Kelce's a Pro Bowler and all pro.
Okay, he still blew 4 snaps.
And Matt Pryor couldn't even start ahead of Jack Driscoll.
He still blew 4 snaps. I'm just saying, it doesn't matter, Pro Bowl or not.
I'm just trying to get you riled up.
It doesn't matter. He still blew 4 snaps, and really, I'm not even. I'm looking past Kelce now. I'm looking at Stoutland because I'm like, look, that should have been checked going into the game. And that's just me being real. All right. So is that have we covered? I think we covered the entire offensive line. Yeah.
No, so you covered Mailata. Yeah, you covered Kelce. You covered Seumalo.
Yeah.
You covered Pryor.
Yeah.
What about Herbig? Did you get Herbig? Who's playing right guard? I don't even know who playing right guard now. Who's playing right guard?
Yeah, Nate Herbig. I thought he did okay. He had some stuff going on, but see, this is the problem with this offensive line, and this is something that they're going to have to really check, because when you say that the run was shut down or that the run wasn't happening or whatever was going on, this offensive line gives away everything they're doing based off of their stance and their alignment. And when I look at their splits, okay, so when I'm saying splits, it's their the space that they have between each other, okay?
Right.
So you can tell when a play, whichever way the play is going, depending on how close the left or right guard are to Kelce.
Right. Okay.
So if the right guard is close to Kelce, 9 times out of 10, that play is going to the right. If the left guard is close to Kelce, 9 times out of 10, the play is going to the left. You can look at the tackles alignment and see, well, you know what? All right, he's spread out a little bit more. Oh, okay, yeah, they're trying to spread that defensive end out a little bit more so that he can run to the left. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, they give away so much just in their stance, alignment, and their split. So who do you blame that on?
I don't know. I don't know. But don't be blaming Kelce. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not putting on Kelce because that's not on Kelce there. Because, because the coaches on the defensive side of the ball are going to go and look at those Microsoft tablets and look at those alignments and splits, and they're like, oh, okay, here's the pattern right here. Hey, guys, I need y'all to pay attention to this right here. And then, bam, you see the run game get shut down because coaches make adjustments based off of what they see. And if you always give away what you're doing, how do you expect for it to work?
You have been in the trenches with Trey. He's Trey Thomas. I'm Derek Gunn. We are Grilling the Birds, brought to you by Inside the Birds. We will continue our football conversation in just a moment. But first of all, while the holiday season may be winding down, the sports calendar is in full swing this week. From collegiate to professional sports, there is no shortage of action, and there is no better place to get in on all the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Now, if you haven't tried DraftKings Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? To celebrate this year's college football playoffs, DraftKings is giving all new users the chance to bet on any semifinal team to win the championship at 100-1 odds. That's right. All you have to do is bet $1 on any semifinal team to win the championship, and if your team wins, you cash $100. While we are all excited for football, let's not forget the 2021 basketball season just kicked off. So head to the App Store right now and check out all the DraftKings Daily Odds Boost. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use the promo code ITB when you sign up to get 100-to-1 odds on any semifinal team to win it all. That's code ITB for new players to get a shot at $100 on any semifinal this week for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. We returned with our Grilling the Birds. He's Trey Thomas. I'm Derek Gunn, and you touched on the running game a little bit. This team actually ran the ball 20 times for 151 yards. First two drives, they came out of the gate smacking Dallas right in the mouth. And why wouldn't you? Dallas had the worst run defense in the National Football League, giving up 161 yards a game. But then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, Trey, because you had a 14-3 lead.
Yeah.
You were pounding the ball down their throats. You're picking up 8, 9, 10 yards worth of real estate to carry. And then all of a sudden, by halftime, it's 20-7 Dallas, 20-17 Dallas. You abandon the run game. I don't get it. I just don't get it because it's still a close game.
Yeah. Well, then you saw, like I said, they give away what they're doing when it comes to the run, and then when you're reading splits and you know where it's coming from, you can play it a little differently. And then for whatever reason, once this team gets down, they feel like, hey, we got to air it out. Let's air it out. So, and that's what happens once they get down a little bit. They feel like they need to air it out. Now, 100-something yards. 100-something yards rushing. When you got Jalen Hurts with 16. What's that?
How you say that? Air it out. Air it out.
Air it out. You got to air it out.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break your concentration. Continue.
Yeah. So that's what they were out there doing, man. They air it out. They say, all right, you know what? Hey, it ain't working. Air it out. Air it out. So here we go. So now you go back and you look at Jalen Hurts. 9 carries, 69 yards. Now, some of those were rollouts. Some of those were like, all right, I'm going to just go ahead and take what I can get. But,
right.
It's just, Miles Sanders, they'll never get Miles Sanders over 20 rushes. So, they try to keep him fresh as possible. And if they can get a home run out of him, they're happy with it. But a lot of times these rushes where Jalen Hurts just scrambling, getting upfield and taking whatever he can get.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to see Miles Sanders getting over 20 carries a game. I've said that time and time again. I don't think he's built to take 20, 25 carries consistently week in and week out. That's just not his build. That's not a knock against him. That's basically he is what he is. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, but that's when your blocking schemes need to be tight. You can't give away which side you're going to. You got to come with some misdirection stuff. You got to, show something one way, bring it back the other. And I thought that there were times where they came with a little bit of some of that, where it was like, all right, you got motion going to the right, then you were actually running left, for all of these different little flash plays that make the defenders look one way, and all you need is a half a second, then bam, something is going. But, you got to make sure that you're not tilting your hand by just your alignment on the offensive line.
The Eagles built that 14-3 lead, and then all of a sudden, the rest of the way, they are outscored 34-3. It was a game indeed of missed opportunities. You were talking about all the false starts, especially a lot of times when they were crossing the 50-yard line, and these false starts cost them field position. Darius Slay picks off a pass when they were down by 13 points, set them up at the Dallas Cowboys 28, and lo and behold, Trey, the team is moving south instead of moving north towards the end zone. There's another, because if they get a touch, now it's a 6 or 7 point game of what happens.
Yeah, man, and we keep having all of these problems on our side, but man, on the defense side of the ball, man.
Now again, they're playing with practice squad players on the defense now, man. Come on, man.
But once Fletcher Cox goes out with a stinger, he went out for a stinger, and then that was that, because you couldn't generate any more pass rush. So now the interior pass rush is gone. You don't have Andy Dalton out there worried about anybody that's going to come off field. You don't have Josh Sweat. You don't have Barnett. You got Vinny Curry, who ended up getting a sack. BG got a sack as well. But other than that, there was no rush on Dalton. I mean, he was able to sit back there, look for Jaquette, and go make a play. And that's exactly what he did. He went out there and he like, all right, where number 38 at? Where he at? Hold on. Is that him? Oh, okay. All right, here we go. You know what I'm saying? Hey, give him
you wrong for that. You wrong for that.
Give him the tricky stuff. Give him that right there. Hey, there it is. Bam, there, touchdown. There we go. You know, I mean, it was
what happened to Michael Jaquette was a crime.
Yes.
The way Michael Gallup used and abused him. And then Jim Schwartz tried to switch it up. Then he put Darius Slay on Gallup. And oh, by the way, you gonna put Jaquette on Amari Cooper?
Yeah. So Andy Dalton come out there. Where he at? Hold on. They hike. And then I mean, and there you go. Now he upfield. So I'm like, man, come on, man. Y'all get this man some help. Get this man some help. Even to the point where they got into the zone and it was a missed touchdown there to the left. Right. And I think it was Cooper that dropped the pass. Yeah. Well, he was trying to throw it at Ford, and I think Dalton got up there and looked out there and he was like, where 38 at? Huh, there go 36 over here. That's close enough. Let me go after him too. And it just he dropped, and Cooper dropped the touchdown. He was like, You know which one I'm talking about, dude? I mean, Cooper dropped the touchdown to the left. He was like 38. Nah, that ain't 38. That's 36. Close enough. Let's go. And then he went right on after him, man. And Cooper ended up dropping the touchdown. But I'm like, man, wow, get a kid some help, man. I mean, you know,
how you gonna give him help with a bunch of inexperienced guys? How you gonna give me? I mean, this was not similar to what happened in 2018 and 2019. So you had a Malcolm Jenkins back there grooming these kids, okay? And eventually, these kids got better. The Avante Maddoxes, the Cravon LeBlancs. And then finally, Malcolm Jenkins, just like a mother bird kicking the baby birds out of the nest, he said, you know what? You guys got to figure this out on the back end. There is no Malcolm Jenkins on this defense grooming these guys now, man. And I know that's the fault of the organization, but there's no Malcolm Jenkins back there nurturing these guys, man.
Well, that's what this team anyway. You don't have any Malcolm Jenkins or anybody, the leaders in that locker room anyway. But on the defense side of the ball, yeah, you don't have that guy. So you know what I mean? What do you want? What do you want? I mean, Aaron Dalton over there, I mean, he airing it out too. You know, so he's like, well, hey, man, you know what? Where you at? 38. Oh, there you go. All right. You know what I'm saying? Bam, there you go. Touchdown. Big play, big chunk yard. And then at a certain point in the game, they're like, all right, pick him up. The man's taking enough of a beating. And then they picked him on up, put him on the sideline. That's it. You know, just go on ahead. And he sat over there with his helmet on the sideline. And we're just steadily watching the game, like, you know what, hey, you know, kept his helmet on. Like they were gonna call his number still to go back out there, and they were like, "Nah, man, you've done enough. You know, we appreciate you. You know, you went out there, and you know what? The thing about Jaquette, man, and I like the young kid, man, because he battles. He's out there, he's competing, he's battling, man. You know, he was just overmatched. It's just tough, and that's going to happen on this level.
Did you honestly think going into this game that the Eagles had a chance to win this game?
No.
Because I honestly did. I honestly felt a lot of things had to happen. They would have to play the near perfect game. But I knew Dallas was on a 2-game roll. And I talked about it on various media outlets how Andy Dalton worried me now because he was getting more comfortable in that system and was getting in a rhythm with those wide receivers. But I honestly thought it would be a much more competitive game than what it turned out to be.
Yeah, I knew that once we didn't have any secondary help that we were going to be in trouble at some point. And, you know, and I just felt like, you know, the green that flows in my blood made me pick the Eagles for this game just because I just can never pick Dallas because, you know, it's just I can't do it. But I knew that, you know, at a certain point it was going to get out of hand just because the weapons that they have over there on that offense. I mean, you know, if they can protect just a little bit and give Andy Dalton some time, I mean, when you got Cooper, Gallup, CD Lamb over there, you know, what do we have in our secondary that's going to take that on? And I mean, when you got Mills that has to step in and save the day at corner, you know, I mean, you know, that's that.
All right, so we have reached the regular season finale. This Eagles team is a 4-win team, something nobody ever thought was imaginable when they set out on their maiden voyage in 2020. So all this week, you as a coach, what are you telling your players, from the head coach to position coaches? What are you telling your players all week long leading up to this regular season finale against a Washington football team that could still win a division?
Yeah, you still you want to win. You just want to have everybody go out on a high note. I know that if we lose, we get a higher draft pick. I know that if we lose, that keeps Dallas out of it. But you still want your guys to go out on a high note. You still want to coach them to win. And that's just the brutal part of this game. I mean, you still got Hurts going out there playing, so you don't want him to go out there and get hurt, because he might be the future quarterback for this team. So,
right,
you can't coach guys to play half speed, because then that's when injury pops up. I mean, Jordan Mailata, for example, you can't play half speed.
Yep.
You got to go full speed,
Yep.
man. And so, you got to have guys out there full tilt. It's just a tough situation. You don't want to see the team lose, or you want to see them win, but then again, you like, man, I hope y'all lose this game, because I want to have that high draft pick, because you're looking at third or fourth round pick right now. Third or fourth in the first round, compared to if you win, you drop down to what, 8th, 9th, 10th pick in the draft. So that's a big jump.
See, I'm lighting a fire on the players. If I'm the coach, I'm telling them, look here, I ain't gonna lie to you. There's a number of you that won't be with us in 2021. So I want you to go out there, and I want you to get the best film you can possibly get on tape, so we can help you find a future employer. This ain't personal. It's business. As Nino Brown would say, it ain't never personal. It's always business, right? That's the fire you light under some of these young guys, and even some of the vets. Some of you vets, don't think you got it made here now. Mm-hmm. You're going to be looking for work in a few weeks.
But what if some of those vets some of these said vets that are on the bubble, that know they're on their way out, go out there and get hurt, then you're on the line for their contract for next year? Maybe,
unless they're in the last year of their contract, then you got walk away scot-free, baby.
Yeah, but some of these cats aren't in their last year. They got one more year. Like a DeSean Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, True. And if you're gonna do anything with Ertz, you want to make sure that he's healthy coming out of this. Right. So it's a lot of guys that you like. Look, I just need y'all to come out of this healthy. Just need y'all to come out of this healthy, so we can go ahead and, like you say, clean hands and move on. Because for this team, this is going to be an interesting offseason, just because you're going to have to get rid of a lot of guys that's in that locker room that are supposed to be leaders. Mm-hmm. If you're going to bring Doug back, so yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I don't think any of the expected offensive linemen who are expected to return are in jeopardy. I think, Jason Peters, he's gone. Got to be gone.
JP,
But Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, the right side will be stable if those two can stay healthy in the offseason. And play a regular season game. Sayamala, he's going to be what he is on that left side. He's going to be serviceable.
Or possibly center if Kelce goes.
If Kelce goes, he could move him to center. That's true. Then you're going to have to find a left guard and a left tackle. Mailata could be. He's got 3 years of work in. He's still learning, as you said earlier. But you're gonna have to find some pieces there. DeSean Jackson, I don't think he's walking through that door in 2021.
No.
Alshon is not walking through that door in 2021.
Yeah, Alshon's done.
So you're right. You're going to have to change the complexion of this team. More importantly, you're going to have to get younger because of the cap. Now, you can still find a way to be competitive, but you have to get younger instead of media. Now. The fan base that you've made strategic youth moves to get better long term, they'll forgive you if you have another mediocre season in 2021.
If you have a young team.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have a young team, yes. If you have the same squad with all these vets on it, and you come in and have another mediocre, that ain't gonna fly.
No, that's not gonna happen.
And that's the problem though, and that's the problem with me. And I think that's what's gonna repeat itself, because you're gonna have to get rid of some of these big name vets. You're gonna have to get rid of a couple big name vets. If you're bringing Doug back, and this is all based on if you're bringing Doug back. If you're bringing Doug back, you got to clean that locker room out, because you got to bring in some fresh meat in there. You got to bring in some fresh, because Doug is a player's coach.
Fresh meat.
You got to bring some fresh meat in there, man. Because Doug is a player's coach, and for you to be a player's coach, you have to have a really tight locker room, and you have to have some leaders in that locker room, and you can't have leaders that are taking days off, that ain't performing like they should, because nobody's going to follow that.
Right.
And, so you need to make sure that the locker room is tight with some guys that can rally the troops, if you're going to bring Doug back.
I think Jim Schwartz said it best in terms of leading up to this regular season finale. We cannot allow this to be a hat game, meaning you cannot allow Washington to come in here and put on division champion hats in our backyard. If that's not a slap in the face and an attention getter for this team, defense particular, nothing is there. Nothing.
All right. Yeah, well, yeah. But, you can't let them be a hat team, but you kind of want them to be a hat team.
Yeah.
But you don't want to beat them the hat team, but you really kind of want them to be a hat team.
To move up in the pecking order.
But you don't want it, but yes, you do.
Yeah, you do. Okay. All right. So do you think this Eagles team will show up? Everything we know about a Doug Peterson coach team and how players play for Doug, no matter what the circumstance is, do you think this team will show up and put up a better fight than they did against the Dallas Cowboys? Now, Alex Smith. By the way, before you answer that question, I got to get your thoughts on the fact that the Washington football team decides to cut Dwayne Haskins on the day after he blew another game for them.
Yeah.
Now, Dwayne brought this on himself with his immaturity in a lot of ways. But are you surprised, considering that they're talking about being optimistic that Alex Smith will be back for the regular season finale, that they would cut a Dwayne Haskins on the spot like that?
Well, you know what? Dwayne Haskins had put this on himself with all the stupid stuff that he's done this year. And that's just one, because, trying to sneak girls into the hotel room early, into the whole team hotel earlier in the season, taking pictures with fans during the game while the game is going on the sideline,
strip club, no mask.
While strip club with no mask, while you have your head coach that just beat cancer, and you at the strip club with no mask on, man. That I'm not surprised by it, and not surprised by it at all. And especially when you went out there and you had the game that you had. Now, if he would have gone out there and blown out Carolina, maybe that would have gotten him another week. But since he went out there and laid the egg, I think he had 2 interceptions in that game.
2 picks. Like that? 2 bad picks.
Yeah, they just went head on. It was like, you know what? I know that the season could possibly be over next week, but I still want you out of here. That right there sends a message to everyone within that locker room. Like, look here. Hey, Ron Rivera right there really flexed his muscles right there and was like, hey, you out of here. And, and this goes for anybody that wants to kind of make these same type of decisions. Now, for Dwayne Haskins, I say, man, you know what? He needs to really grow up. He needs to make some better decisions. And I think that getting drafted in the city that you grew up in can be tough.
Yes.
I'm glad that I came up here and got me away from my family and got me away from everybody that I grew up with and all of that, because it could have been a totally different story. So, I hope that he gets another shot somewhere else, that they give him the opportunity to grow up and learn from his mistakes. But those were just huge mistakes in the city, and an opportunity that he had there, and he just blew it.
All right, getting back to my question then prior to this thing, do you think this Eagles team will show up, especially with the Jim Schwartz saying, we can't allow this to be a hat game in our stadium?
Yeah, I I hope so.
Oh,
Well, okay. So who you gonna have show up? You might have a bunch of young guys. Fletcher might not be playing in this game.
exactly.
So now you're leaning on BG and Vinny Curry to kind of try to create
Yep.
some pressure. You got an offensive line that's, you still gonna have to come out there, with a secondary that's decimated. So what are you gonna do? I think they're gonna come up there. Yeah, they're gonna show up to play. They're gonna show up to play. Now, what's gonna happen? I have no idea. If Alex Smith plays this game, I think they lose.
Yeah.
When you look
But
at
don't forget now, we don't know about Terry McLaurin. Antonio Gibson, a running back, is questionable as well. We don't know what his stat. So their two primary weapons may be handcuffed for this Washington team.
Yeah, but I don't.
Their
I don't
defense is a monster.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, their defense is the problem for us. And but you know what? New Orleans was the same for us. We went into that game thinking that New Orleans was going to be a beast and was going to run through our team, and we went out there and handled business. So I don't know, man. This is a tough one. Of course you want to see the guys win, but we need them to lose.
Now, see, if somebody had said that when you were playing, you would have taken exception to that.
Yeah, I would have.
But now you're not playing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not playing that, so it don't matter now. So we want them to win, but I need y'all to lose.
All right. And on that note, that puts a wrap on this latest edition of Grilling the Birds, brought to you by Inside the Birds. By the way, you can find Grilling the Birds on the Inside the Bird podcast and their YouTube platform. It's been a great season. Well, in a lot of ways, it's been great hanging out with this guy and cutting it up week in and week out. We just want to wish everybody out there a happy new year. Considering what we are leaving behind us in 2020, it can only get better in 2021. So on behalf of my colleague and my friend, Trey Thomas, happy new year, everybody. We wish you blessings, be safe, and more importantly, prosperity in 2021. So until next week, when we wrap up the regular season finale and the 2020 season, so long, everybody.
Happy New Year.